Hi everyone. Welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. Happy Monday to you all. I hope everyone had a great weekend and it goes so fast, guys. The weekend goes really fast. But here we are, Monday again. Almost the new year. Wow, this year went by really fast. It seems like the hours are just going by so quickly. So, guys, tonight, before I get into this message, tonight, really make sure you have heat, you have blankets, because I heard it's going down into the single digits tonight. So make sure you're someplace warm. And thank you for showing up and being here on this channel with me. It's so important that we keep these messages going because it's reaching more and more people who need to hear it. And that's a good thing because they're showing up, they're commenting. Some folks are telling me how these messages are impacting their lives for the better. And that makes me feel really good because everything that I talk about here is from my own personal experiences that I personally went through and how I overcame instead of succumbing to these trials and tribulations. It wasn't easy, but nothing ventured is nothing gained. So I'm glad that you guys are sharing these messages and that it's reaching more and more people who need to hear it. Because I know what it's like to be in a place of despair and feel alone and by yourself. And you don't have anyone in the physical there to support you. So we can support each other right here on this channel, uplifting. We're not here to judge. This is a no judgment zone here. We're here to uplift. There's enough of the other stuff in the world today, guys, as you see how it's playing out. So with that being said, I'm not a counselor, a social worker, or a therapist, just somebody who talks about how I overcame trials and challenges. And I just share those things here with you because anyone who might be going through something similar, they can hear how I overcame these trials and tribulations and perhaps apply it in your own situation. And it may be beneficial in helping you to get through it instead of succumbing to them. So guys, let me get comfortable and let's get into this message today. The topic, excuse me, the topic is a little bit lengthy, but it's never allow anyone to dim your light because it makes them uncomfortable. Never allow anyone to dim your life because it makes them uncomfortable. So sometimes, guys, people don't, it just, I don't know what goes on with folks, but the first thing I want to say is that there are so many injustices in this world. And some of these injustices, it's just some people are hating on others without a valid reason. Just because, oh, I don't like her hair, she thinks she's all that, or she's this, or he's that because he has on a specific shirt, or she's wearing this, or whatever. It's petty. And it has no value. You know, just let people be who they are and stop trying to find a reason to judge another person. You know, maybe perhaps that's something to have that, you know, some of us may need to work on. But hating on others just because they are healing, this is what really gets to me. Someone decides that they're going to address that elephant in the room. They're going to look at it. Because if you're anything like me, like how you grew up, I grew up with things happening in the house, traumatic situations. But everybody knows about it, but we can't talk about it. We see the elephant in a room, which is the pain I use as a metaphor all the time, right? But we're walking around it. We're pretending it's not there. And we're acting like, okay, you know, it's here, but let's not talk about it. Because what happens in this house stays in this house. So nobody ever heals from anything because we're not addressing the pain. And then as we grow older and become adults, we carry all that pain, the luggage and baggage that I described using as a metaphor. We take that with us in different connections and situations in our life because we have not addressed the pain. We have not healed from it, you know. And this is how people become haters, and how people gossip and lie about people and do all this toxic stuff, because all these things that they've gone through in their childhood growing up that they never healed from or addressed, so they take it with them everywhere that they go. They carry this luggage, tons of bricks that I talk about, with them everywhere they go, and they think it's perfectly fine, but it's not, guys. Because hating, especially on somebody who's healing and doing the work and taking care of themselves, that just doesn't even sound, it just sounds so off to me. Because we are supposed to take care of ourselves. We are supposed to heal, grow, and evolve. Look at that pain. Because I know for myself, I was taught, what stays in this house, happens in this house, stays in this house, but nobody grow, heal, and evolve from it. And, but when you realize that, hey, this is not okay, because you're carrying this load everywhere you go. But when you address it, like I first started with therapy, for the first probably 2 months, me and my therapist just showed up, and I just looked at him, looked at the time. Okay, this is going to be over with in 45 minutes. Okay, yeah, see you next week. And that went on for a while because I didn't know how to do that. And then slowly I started to open up. And as I did, it felt like the bricks were getting lighter. The tons of bricks were getting lighter and lighter as I did that. Because my mindset, my broken mindset in the past was to not deal with things. We see that's happening. Close your eyes to it. Pretend it's not there or something. But once you start to look at it and say, hey, I'm tired of carrying these tons of bricks because it's weighing me down, the first step for me was therapy. And as you do the work, you start to open up. And as you speak about problems and situations, it's an outlet. And no, the therapist or anybody else but God can solve those issues for you, help you with them. But speaking about them is an outlet for the pain, because you're addressing it like the elephant in the room. You're not just noticing that it's there, but you're facing it, And when you face it and deal with it, then you can heal it little by little, day by day, step by step, because nothing ventured is nothing gained. But you can overcome these trials and tribulations instead of letting it take a chokehold on your life. Because as you do nothing about it, the toxicity builds, because you're carrying that load with you everywhere you go. You can unload those bricks, tons of bricks. And one way is by speaking out the pain. The other way is healing. Healing involves so many things, guys. Self-care, on a daily basis. Like I have music. Music heals the soul. I listen to things that I watch a lot of comical videos, because laughter is the best medicine for the soul. That's a healing outlet too. I have a little organ that I play sometimes. I don't play that well, but enough to, all these things help me on a mental and physical. And keeping my environment toxic free, minimizing the toxicity. You can't keep it probably 100% free, but enough to know that not to take in toxic things, not to let people drop their loads on my lap as I did before. Learning, one of the things I've learned so far, and I let my light shine, is to not allow other people to make me, dim my light because they don't like the new me. I've healed so much, guys, and it hasn't been easy, and as I do this and heal, grow, and evolve, you change for the better. You're not the same person anymore. I used to have a broken mindset of things that this is just how it is, and things doesn't have to be a certain way. We can heal and we can live our best life. And one of the things I had to do is get rid of, first set strong boundaries with other people, and then when these people were bringing toxicity to my table, because they were looking for the old version of myself, I had to cut off, block, and delete, because nothing was going to get in the way of me healing, you know. Because healing is an ongoing process, but as you get into the habit of self-care on a daily basis, you start to self-love. And when you start to self-love, you start to take care of yourself even more so. So if you are in a space of healing, continue to do so. Take small steps to do it. Like today, I spent a little bit extra time at the gym, because I want to make sure that I'm taking care of my health. Trying to eat a little better. I'm up and down with that right now because it's holiday time, but, I'm still at the gym, doing my workout and what I do. And just taking steps, because I don't get there every day, just a couple of times a week. But it's self-care. So things that is self-care, like taking that bubble bath, having candles around, having music going, buying yourself that favorite blouse, going to that restaurant, doing things that uplift your spirit and keep your vibes high. Being around people who motivate you and they see that you have a goal that you're trying to accomplish. They are motivating you. You can do this. Yes, one day at a time, one step at a time. Be around people who uplift you instead of people who want to bring you down like crabs in a barrel, who want to dim your light or even put your light out. You can recognize the signs of that when every time you're around these particular individuals and you're so excited about your healing and certain things, because as you start to continue to heal and you do this consistently and persistently, you will start to see the results and you start to get excited about it. And then you'll notice a few others perhaps have something negative to say, to try, and that's a way that they can try to dim your light, because they are not comfortable with your growth, because they're not on the same path with you. Never allow anyone to make you uncomfortable with being yourself, being your authentic self, because as you grow, heal, and evolve, you change for the better in so many different ways. I'll give you an example for myself. I changed. In the past, I would just be subservient to people, always jumping, skipping, and hopping through hoops for others because I had abandonment issues. And it goes way back to some things in childhood. But as I did the work to overcome these things, I'm no longer subservient to anyone, a doormat. I will help people, listen to them, pray for them, but I am not going to be jumping, skipping, and hopping through hoops for people as I did before. Because as I address that pain and all of that, I am not the same person anymore. And I also had an issue telling people no, even though when I know I didn't want to do something, but I didn't want to disappoint, so I would just say yes anyway, and be upset with myself that I said yes. I don't do that anymore as well. I tell people, sorry, I can't help you with that. And some people get mad and upset about it because they're not used to that. Well, because I have to be true to myself, be honest. If something is going to be a ton of bricks for me and that I have to carry, then I'm sorry, you have to carry that load yourself. And when I started learning to say no, it felt good to say no, because I used to be so tired all the time because I was neglecting my own personal things, jumping through hoops for other people. Never allow anyone to dim your light just because they're uncomfortable with the positive changes you made in your life. Because as you continue to heal, grow, and evolve, you will be making positive changes, and many of you will get excited about it because you start to see the fruit of your hard labor. Be proud of the progress that you're making to heal the pain, because it's not easy, because you have to address that elephant in a room and you have to look at it and you have to keep moving forward. Because pain will either cause you to heal and grow or cause you to succumb to it. I prefer to heal and grow, because what does not destroy you, I promise you, will make you stronger than ever. And you'll begin to realize the strength you have that you didn't think you had by healing and growing and evolving. And as you look at this pain, you can throw those tons of bricks, as I use as a metaphor all the time, off your back. Some people will love the new version of the new you, and other people will despise it. Continue to heal and let your light shine regardless. Be your authentic self, whether people love it or they do not. And what I had to deal with, which was really painful, losing family members, and then when I looked at it, wasn't really there for me anyway. They were only there to use me like a doormat. And when I started to realize that and do that pro and con list, I set those boundaries, and then when people didn't want to adhere by the boundaries, then I had to cut off, block, and delete. And it wasn't easy, and it was painful, not just there, but people that I thought were my friends, that I thought were, rooting for me. But as I healed and I changed for the better, and I started telling people how I truly felt about things, they felt some way behind it. And some people cut me off, that I guess, it cuts both ways, So, but I had learned it was important for me to be myself, my authentic self. It was important for me to say no when something was a burden for me instead of taking that on. And I never embraced the fake. I'm always true to myself regardless of who might be uncomfortable with it. Asking God to help me in prayer and strengthening me, and it was hard because I would be crying a lot. But as those tears, turned into prayers, deep prayer, asking God to help me, meeting with my therapist, and just doing the work daily. And then things start to get better. I start to see the results little by little. So I kept on going and going. And things got better. Sometimes we, when there's a ton of bricks on our back, when we start to heal and do the work, we start to see where it's coming from. Who's bringing and putting those tons of bricks on our back? Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's people we grow up with, sometimes it's outside sources. Whatever it may be, when you start to see what it is, set strong boundaries. And if people decide that they're going to disrespect and dismiss your boundaries, perhaps you may think about cutting off, blocking, and deleting like I do. Because as you grow, heal, and evolve, guys, you start to experience that inner peace. And that inner peace, for me, I'm unbothered by the noise, the malicious lies, the gossip, whatever. Let people say it, because the truth always comes out. While they're sitting in the background lying and hating on you because you're over here growing, healing, and evolving. And then also God is blessing you, So I don't worry about it as much as I used to. And that's how I know that I'm healing all those things as well. So do something daily for yourself. And also, guys, do things for other people, like holding the door for somebody. If you're in a supermarket, like, somebody who's elderly couldn't reach something on the cabinet. I'm not that tall myself. I'm 5'3", but I got up and reached it for her, and just talking to people and helping and uplifting people up, guys, is so important. Because when you see doom and gloom around you every day and toxicity, it's so important to know that there's other people out there who don't engage in that, who's there to motivate you and help you grow, heal, and evolve, as well as themselves. Guys, it's so important to do the work, even if you do a little bit daily, because it's better to be at a place, to grow to a place of inner peace where you're unbothered by the noise instead of broken down into pieces. That's the message today, guys. Thank you for being here. Continue to show up. Tomorrow will be a new message, probably a little bit longer or more intense than this one today. But all of these messages is to uplift and to help you guys to see that you are just as important as anyone else. So take care of you, guys. And I'll see you again tomorrow. This is Lisa shedding love and light. Have a great Monday and subscribe to the channel. Look at the links that are attached there and see if that's something that you would be interested in. And we'll be back here tomorrow. Subscribe to the channel because I don't know what time I'm going to show up here. Thank you again, guys, and enjoy your day. Bye for now.